Hey everybody, welcome back to the Daily Drive. This week we're learning that Jesus knows what we need, even more than we know what we need. In the latter half of Mark chapter 6, Jesus has shown us our need for rest, our need for his leadership in our lives, and our need for purpose. But today, Jesus is going to show us another need in our lives, a need to understand who he really is. This is so important because throughout his life, people were always talking about Jesus. Some people thought Jesus was a good teacher. Some people saw him as just another Jewish rabbi. Some people thought that Jesus was crazy. And some people thought he was just a good prophet. But here's the deal. Jesus doesn't want you guessing about who he is. He wants you to know who he is. In fact, that may be the greatest need in your life. A.W. Tozer, an old theologian, once said this: "The most important thing about any person is what they think about when they think about God." In Mark 6:45 through 42, there's a story about Jesus walking to his disciples on water. They had taken out a boat, were rowing across the lake, and verse 48 of that chapter says they were straining at the oars because the wind was against them. In the same verse later, it says, shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them walking on a lake. Now, this isn't just some small lake that's very shallow. This is a very deep lake he's walking across. And the story actually tells us that as Peter went out of the boat and walked to Jesus on water, he became afraid and started to sink deeply until Jesus grabbed a hold of him and saved him. Now, if you read the story in Matthew's Gospel in chapter 14, it includes some details Mark didn't have. Matthew gives another insight into the story, and one that we really need. In Matthew 14:33, the Bible says, "Then those that were in the boat worshiped him, saying, 'Truly, you are the Son of God.'" See, Jesus knew these guys that followed him didn't really fully know him. And so Jesus sends them ahead on a boat so that he could do something that would convince them he was the Son of God. And so I want to come back to the big idea for this week. Jesus knows what you need even more than you know what you need. And Jesus knows that more than anything else, you need to know who he really is. He's not just another rabbi or good teacher. He's not just another religious leader, one among many throughout the history of the world, but Jesus was the Son of God. And so as we wrap it up today, I want to ask you to think about that. In fact, I want you to pray and talk to God about that. I want you to talk to God about whether or not you really believe Jesus was the Son of God. But I also want you to talk to him about what that knowledge requires of you. Here at the Daily Drive, we really believe that when we know Jesus a little better, we can live like him a little more.